4, and it's 1 apiece between MNM and Diabolus. My name is Munchballs. I'm joined by Saga as we jump into game 3 of this series. It didn't look like this was going to game 3, but Diabolus, hold on.
No, after game 1, we expected a 2-0. After 10 minutes of game 2, we expected a 2-0, but Diabolus, they proved us all wrong.
Yeah.
Turned it around, got those hyperscaling carries to the points they needed, brought us to game 3.
And what a difference we saw from Fury in the mid lane specifically. Game 1, he was on the rise, got completely bodied.
Yeah.
Had no presence in the game whatsoever. Game 2 on the Pantheon had such a tremendous impact, especially in the mid game, keeping Diabolus alive, keeping them in the action, and meaning that they could last long enough to get to game 3.
Yeah, and Diabolus has always been one of those teams that excels in the later stages, and the team fights has always been when they were having success in the early stages of UKLC. It was the team fights. It was the teleport flanks from Kakan on champions like the Kennen. But this time, it's a slightly different take on a similar style, where it's the scrappy fights in the early stages of the game. This time, it's Fury getting involved across the map with the Pantheon pick. I'm expecting MNM to go back to banning that.
Yeah,
I think we've seen why it gets banned.
And also, at this point, if you're Diabolus, do you just have to ban the Lee Sin away from Nulti? Or maybe get PFI on the Lee Sin or something like that? Because Nulti has been destroying these early games.
In the early stages, you at least need to have much more coordinated vision control around your mid lane, because that's been Nulti's focal point in the first stages of both of these games, and it's been exploited very early on. Fury did very well to come back and turn things around and have a much better performance towards the later stages and the mid game of game number 2, but if game number 3 starts off the same way, maybe MNM might just have that switch turned back on to close this one out.
I would hope that MNM, after a loss like that, will be looking at what happened during that mid-game, at what point that went, because there was a very specific moment in the game where it went wrong. They're pushing in the bottom lane, they overextended. Yusa was basically frontlining on the Xayah, trying to finish off a kill, using his ultimate aggressively, and the fight just sort of fell apart from them. They weren't really anticipating the Comet Spear, not the Comet Spear, the Grand Starfall as well.
He didn't even use it. He just walked in, and it was overcommitting onto Kakan. Again, on the Kayle, who has the defensive tools, didn't burn the ultimate until later stages. He used his flash to dodge out on the engage tools and saved that one for a little bit of a rainy day later on in the fight, and that was kind of what baited Yusa in. So we're just... I don't know, they kind of overcommit to things when they feel confident. And in game 1, they felt the confidence and it was enough for them to close out. So maybe that was what just pushed them over the edge into throwing territory in game number 2.
Into inting territory. Well, so far, Diabolus have managed to hold on as we head into this draft, though. The question is, can they keep this ball rolling? We've got LeBlanc and Kiana banned away from the side of Diabolus, who are now back on that blue side once again. MNM going to be banning away the Syndra and the respect ban of this Pantheon. Well, it's not really just a respect ban. The Pantheon red side ban has been standard across competitively.
Yeah, I'm honestly surprised that it made it to the second round of bans. I thought it was bold of MNM to leave it up in the first phase, but then to let it be picked up as a 4th pick for Diabolus on red side is... Yeah, well, we saw why you shouldn't do that in that game. So they've said, okay, we've tested the waters. We've still got a game to play with. We'll take this one away. We'll get rid of that champion that was a problem for them in game number 2.
And the Yasuo once back on board. Going to be banned away here. This has been very standard for MNM banning this one. On the red side, now Diabolus, they could pick up something like the Xayah. Also things like the Kai'Sa available. A lot of focus has been on the AD carries and the supports when it comes to these first picks and bans.
Yeah, both games, I think we've had both teams pick up their jungle and bot lanes in the first phase and then save both solo lanes for the second phase. At least that was true of the second game. This time, even though Xayah is up and available, they're not going to pick that one up. They like Dragdar on the Kai'Sa. I like Dragdar on the Kai'Sa.
It feels like Dragdar doesn't like Xayah very much.
Yeah, but it was banned away from them in game number 1. I'm not sure whether that's just Heathen loving the Rakan, that kind of thing. And will this be the answer? Because maybe that could be exactly what you were looking for, of getting Nulti off the Lee Sin, is forcing them, okay, you have the option. You can take Xayah Rakan. Are you going to go for it? Or are we going to have that sort of mismatch again in the bottom lane?
It's possible. We'll have to see what they go for here, whether Naughty is going to focus on that Lee Sin. Honestly, if I'm MNM here, I'm on the Lee Sin more than I want that Xayah Rakan. I know Shogun loves to play the Rakan. It's something he's very good at, but this Lee Sin has been really the focus of this entire series.
But they've had the Rakan in games 1 and 2, and they had this combo as well in game 2, and it didn't result in a victory, but they're going to put faith in it. They're going to go for it once again. Now, PFI has the option. I'm not sure how much of a Lee Sin player he is. Or maybe.
Yeah.
The Rek'Sai has always been a good pick into Lee Sin because it's easy to interrupt his potential engage. So that was banned away in the previous one. PFI had a great performance on it yesterday, and it's not something that we typically see too much attention given to. So it's something that could be on the back of Diabolus' minds.
Talk about the lock-ins as they come. I don't want to get too excited there, but we'll see. I would expect a jungle lock-in to come on in here, because if you allow the bans to focus on that jungle pool, if Chibs locks in the Lee Sin, then they can ban things like the Rek'Sai, like the Gragas. There it is. The Gragas does come out from PFI. Absolutely a comfort pick for him. This is something he regularly falls back on. He did a lot better in game 2 of the series, that has to be said, but still fell very far behind Naughty in the early game.
Yeah, 3 games in a row. We might well have the same jungle matchup unless Naughty decides to switch it up and go for the Olaf. Is something that was taken away from him, and we've seen him take over games with it as well. Oh, there's that Karthus that's sneaking in the back as well that he played yesterday. Could definitely be an option, but Cassio.
Oh, here we go.
There we go, switching things up. So a solo laner picked up in the first round.
Yeah, this is interesting as well, because obviously the Lee Sin has been a big focus, but basically MNM saying it wasn't the pick, it was the player that was making these advantages. And now focusing on the mid lane, getting the Cassiopeia, because they can ban away any potential counters, they can ban away what Fury would want to play in this, but it's a denial from Fury himself, and it's also an incredibly strong pickup for Chips.
Yeah, and also it gives, if Naughty is able to have that same level of impact in the early stages of the game, it's something that scales up and can match what Diabolus had in the previous game. So if they decide to go for that similar style of having scaling in the top lane as well as the Kai'Sa, you can match that with a Cassio. And if Naughty's able to accelerate the pace of the game and get her rolling, it could be enough for them to start having more success in these team fights.
Certainly could be. The bans coming on through though. Azir taken off the board by MNM. Certainly a very good matchup to go into a Cassiopeia with. And then Lee Sin taken away from Naughty. And I'm curious what that second ban from Diabolus will be as well. I'd expect it also to go towards the jungle pool. Maybe ban away the Olaf, just take all of the comfort picks away from Naughty.
I think Olaf is probably the preferable ban here, because Naughty, as you say, has just been the guy who's been taking over the game. Really, and that's been true in both games of this series, so you want to get him on something much less comfortable. If you can force him onto one of those magic damage dealing junglers, you know, the Elise, bit of a meme, the Karthus, things like that, but instead, I mean, we're going to leave the Olaf up.
Elise is pretty good.
I mean, Naughty's Elise is a bit of a meme.
Oh, sure. Fair enough.
Elise is
well, we'll
pretty good.
see. I mean, I'd love to see him lock it in now, just so we can see whether that's true.
I mean, it definitely is an early game impact jungler, so you can see why it works out. Sometimes the execution,
lock it in.
Sometimes the execution can be slightly off, but I mean,
I believe in Naughty's
who is it
Elise.
true that the execution is always perfect? It never is, so it's forgivable if you miss some cocoons. But there we go, it's locked in. So this is another pick that Naughty loves that can, once again, take over the early stages of the game. This one is a little bit more of the gank-heavy style to take over, though, not farming the opponent's jungle.
Well, Naughty's Elise is a bit of a meme. Saga 2019. Let's find out if that's going to be true on this one. I'm just going to rib you about that all game now if he takes over. Here we go. Gangplank, though, and Orianna taken up for Diabolus. So the solo lane's locked on in. And I like this very safe solo laner for Fury in the mid lane, the Orianna. You can play very far back, but if Yusa can find those cocoons, they can shut that Orianna down.
Yeah, you really can, and that's why exactly you see Fury has instantly switched over to the cleanse on the mid lane. He doesn't want anything to do with that meme in the mid lane, getting involved, landing the stuns from range, and just allowing Chibs to just rip through his health bar. And Orianna is pretty squishy in the early stages. She has some defensive tools, but again, it's an immobile mage. She has a speed up, but that's about it. It's nothing that's going to instantly get you out if your flash is on cooldown. So he needs to be playing very carefully, but at least this time he does have the defensive option to get out of those engages that Nolty has just constantly been finding on him in the early stages of the game.
Nolty has been absolutely camping that mid lane. I want to talk about the top lane, though. Once again, it's going to be the Gangplank for Kakan up against Only Angel's Aurelia, but Only Angel is back on a carry. Thank the Lord. His own last game, nothing against his own, but Only Angel is a carry player. This guy wants to be split pushing, or he wants to be on something that can dominate a team fight. Stick him on a tank, and he can't have that impact. But we've seen what his Camille can do. We've seen in the past what his Aurelia can do. This guy, I mean, he built a name for himself on the Fiora. That says a lot about the kind of play style this guy wants to play. I'm excited to see him on the Aurelia.
Yeah, and it is a change of pace again for MNM. So now Nolty not only can focus the mid lane, but he has options. He can go towards the top lane, try and hold Gangplank down. As you mentioned, they look for the guy who's looking to scale towards the late stages, who has the weaker early stages of the game. Gangplank is definitely an option for that. And if you can get the Irelia rolling, then she can have that role that Pantheon had, where she's involved in every single fight and then transitions into a frontliner later on as your backline is dishing out the damage.
We'll see if Only Angel could get rolling on that Aurelia, or whether it will be shut down by the likes of Kakan and PFI. It's time to get into game number 3 of this series. The final game that we will witness here between these two teams is MNM up against Diabolus. And the draft, much different coming on into game number 3 here. And you can see at the corner of the screen there, we've got a level 1 bit of cheese coming on through from the likes of Diabolus. They're all going to get in. They're not going to be spotted. Now they will show.
Oh, no.
Just
so close.
Narrowly avoids the hook there. And I think if they just stayed in that second bush in the bottom lane for another 5 seconds, they maybe find themselves a kill. Maybe not, though.
Could certainly have happened. They were looking to sort of scoot their way down was Shogun, but it didn't quite turn out to be the case. And once again, it's Diabolus looking for the plays in the early stages, and MNM just not quite falling for the trap.
And it's interesting as well, because I'm pretty sure that was the same level 1 strategy that Diabolus went for in one of the previous games of this series. That going straight through the bot lane brush doesn't pay off for them. And now back to a default start for both these junglers. Nolty going to be starting on his blue there on the Elise.
And again, it just allowed the MNM gang to drop that ward on PFI's Raptors. So this time he's going to be a little less cautious, a little more carefree, but he's also got a ward on his blue buff as well. So the tracking will just be there, and that is exactly how Nolty was able to take over the game in game number 1, just tracking PFI exactly where he is, where he wants to be going next, and then deciding where you're going to be pathing based on that knowledge.
User narrowly dodges the hook there. Very nicely done to sidestep that one. Both these bot lanes fighting to hit that level 2 ASAP, and it looks like MNM are going to have that advantage. They'll force Drag Dart and the Heathen away.
Only Angel has used all of his corrupting potion stacks already.
Blimey. That is an aggressive strategy out of Only Angel. Maybe looking for an early recall or something. We'll have to wait and see. Heathen stepping on forward, gets the root onto Yusa. He's actually ignited as well. Yusa forced to flash away. Drakthar still full HP. Shogun now having to back off. Both summoners burned from the likes of Yusa.
Yeah, Yusa did manage to squeeze his way into a minion wave there, so couldn't quite thread the needle on the dredge line to finish off that one, but now the only combat-ready summoner spell for the MNM bot lane is the Flash of Shogun. Those open opportunities once again for PFI maybe to get involved in the bottom lane, but he's tried to do that in previous games. The vision has been there. He's been spotted out on the wards. And again, it's just that tracking that has always been there. Nolty steals away a buff, runs into Kakan.
Yeah, third time in this series, Nolty 3 buffs PFI, but Kakan has to back away. PFI coming to help, but Chibs is here as well. And this is going to be the scuttle going the way of Nolty as well. So once again, Nolty finding an early lead when it comes to this jungle matchup. The question is, where will Nolty try and transition this lead to this game?
Yeah, he has
PFI though.
He has options in every lane, but he has just waddled away from the one lane that PFI might be looking to answer back with. Only Angel, not a lot of mana, as we said, is sustained. Looking pretty slim as well.
Kakan takes the tower shot there. Nicely done by Only Angel to take that barrel out as well. Fury taking some punishment in the mid lane from this Cassiopeia, but he's going to be fine to just farm on up. And PFI, unfortunately, will have to channel the recall. Won't find anything up in the top lane. As the Heathen looks for Shogun, but Shogun isn't there.
That's really just been the downfall of PFI's early game in this series, is he's looking for opportunities all across the map, but just is not quite able to find them. MNM seems to just have a good idea. Again, this tracking of him that they've been doing with good ward placement, 3 in the topside river, so should have knowledge of exactly what PFI is up to. Might not be so sure about this one, though.
Here's their opportunity. Heathen stepping on forwards. Flash forwards to get onto Yusa. There's the hook as well. Can they finish the job? The answer is yes. Dragdar gets first blood.
And PFI finally makes some impact stick in the early stages of the game. Gives the kill credit over to Dragdar. Wants to get that Kai'Sa ahead and to that stage where she's scaling up to be that threat that she was in game number 2.
Really important thing to mention, though, is look at the CS deficit in that jungle right now. The amount of time PFI has spent trying to make these ganks happen. He has 1 assist for himself, but he's 20 CS down to the likes of Nolty.
And this is exactly what Nolty loves to do, is punish the junglers who go for aggression in the lanes. He had an incredible game against Envision where Infinity was playing the Karthus and he was going for ganks and lost just about every camp that ever spawned to Nolty's Olaf. And it really is kind of his MO when it comes to aggressive jungling. Not so much about the kills in the lane, but just starving the other jungler of any experience, any camps.
It's about finding the map control.
He's making it work. Finally, he does manage to pick up a kill.
Kakan 1v1ing against Only Angel here, and so far he's been able to dodge pretty much every stun in this lane, but Only Angel really struggling in this 1v1. Kakan does have that grasp. Doesn't quite find the parlay. Only Angel will survive for now. No more corrupting potions available. It does have a couple of total biscuits in his inventory there. So we'll be A-okay for now.
Considering that Only Angel has based, gone back, picked up more sustain in the form of a Vampiric Scepter, and he's still coming out pretty rough in some of these trades.
Yeah, but look at the CS.
Pretty well for himself.
He's doing pretty great when it comes to the gold. There's a ton.
Oh, the ultimate came out there.
Here we go. Only Angel trying to find the dive, or trying to find go onto Kakan. Nice flash knock up from PFI to finish the kill. And so far, PFI has been the jungler with the advantage, but Nolty wants to answer, and Kakan will comfortably go down. Easy Venomous Bite.
Overstaying to try and sneak a turret plate, but Nolty is having none of it. He's hovering around. Finds a return kill in the top lane.
And he'll find himself a Scuttle Crab as well as a bonus.
Kill credit of both of the kills went to the junglers. Definitely going to favor the Elise, though. Although, PFI picked up an early Dark Seal, so he's got some stacks going on that one. It's at currently 3, so we're going to be looking to try and have some more impact in the lanes. We get that stacked up. If things go well, a Magi's could be on the cards. Definitely not expecting it, but who knows what the future holds.
Always expect the unexpected. I'll have to see. Nice little freeze going on in the bottom lane as well in favor of Yusa there. He'll be able to close that CS deficit, but I think it's going to be forced to be broken here as Heathen re-enters the lane. And then we'll just be able to clear that one up. The CS just about even in the bottom lane. It's all about the jungle and the top lane right now when it comes to those CS numbers and when it comes to the kills as well. So far, both junglers finding themselves a kill in the early game, and PFI doing a much better job of answering the early pressure from Nolty this time. Nolty being a lot more passive than we're used to. Oh, knock up in the bottom lane though. Heathen taking a massive amount of punishment.
Instantly backs away though. They knew that there was a ward in the forwards bush. That's why PFI stuck a little bit further down in the lane, but as soon as he steps forward, sees the engage come out from Shogun. That's All guns blazing to back away for the MNM bottom lane. They don't want anything to do with this Gragas. He's already fallen victim to it once, but it, again, just opens up the top side of the map. It's almost split vertically at this point, except the MNM bottom lane has rotated back into their own jungle and is securing their camp. So maybe Nolty isn't picking them up, but at least PFI isn't. So he's still going to be behind in terms of the XP.
Yeah, very nicely done here by MNM, and it's going to protect that blue buff as well. As Chibs does have the blue buff from the side of Diabolus right now, I believe. He will be able to get his own blue buff in a couple of minutes as well, if that's the way that goes. Ultimate actually coming down. There's a stun onto Kakan as well, because Nolty's entering the lane here, but he's taking turret damage right now. Kakan wants to turn it around, but he won't be able to. Only Angel grabs himself a kill.
Kakan held on to the orange, even through all the Irelia CC, because he suspected that Nolty was on his way up, and still wasn't quite enough to get away from the cocoon, but...
The turret plate survived on a sliver of HP there. I thought they were going to be able to grab that one. Unlucky.
Yeah. Already punished Kakan for overstaying for turret plate, so didn't want to fall victim to the same thing, so backing away. I
think that Yusa was the biggest culprit for that one in the first game of the day. Here we go. Decent early game, though, from Diabolus. They've been getting slightly better each game in this series at matching the MNM early game. And this time, when it comes to gold, just about even. MNM just 300 up right now.
I mean, Fury still has a 0 in the deaths column, which is a breath of fresh air if you're Diabolus in this series. Nolty's been focusing his attention elsewhere. Ethan has the Hex Flash available. Might go for Chibs.
There's a shockwave to start things off. Depth charge to follow it up. And that'll easily be finished. Oh no, he missed the hook! No, disaster for the Heathen! How do you miss that, man?
He couldn't throw it out any earlier because of the grounding effect from Chibs. Just barely gets out alive with the phase rush, the flash, the heal, everything burned. It's a sliver of health, but that hook would have made all the difference. And it's just not quite to be. Again, it's Diabolus looking to make an aggressive play. MNM getting out, surviving by the skin of their teeth.
And that's the power of phase rush as well. Having that burst of movement speed to be able to dodge away from those skill shots. Chibs will survive the fight in the middle lane. He's actually grabbed himself the Dark Seal as well now as he heads back to lane. And really unfortunate for the likes of Fury. Fury didn't actually have to use any summoners though for this one.
No, you could see that he wanted to try and throw out that dredge line to combine with the depth charge, but...
Chibs was literally mid-cast. He then just missed. I think he was expecting him to keep moving. He wasn't expecting him to stop and cast the ult.
I don't know. I'm trying to give him the benefit of the doubt. I like the Heathen.
I mean, I like all of them. I don't dislike the guy. I'm not just like saying stuff because I'm just a mean dude.
We save that for Jake when he's playing Lux and ARAMs.
I mean, there's nothing worse, really. Here we go, though. Trading a Cloud Drake for a Rift Herald. You gotta give that trade over to MNM. Assuming that they can use that Herald effectively to grab themselves some plates, they're gonna have 2 minutes to do so. In the meantime, though, PFI is gonna answer by moving down to the bottom lane. They're gonna just look for plates themselves.
Just splitting the map are the two junglers. Nolty's having some pressure. Really focused around Kakan in the top side. Only Angel, as you said, on a carry in this one. A bit of a switch up for the game plan, whereas PFI is just babysitting Dragdar in the bottom lane. Gonna get him as far ahead as possible so we can have that great performance on the Kai'Sa. But first turret blood once again picked up for MNM.
And so much gold going the way of Only Angel there as well. All 5 turret plates. Look at the CS deficit in the top lane as well. Only Angel is getting ready to have a carry performance here. He's been set up to do so. He's just picked up a Ravenous Hydra as well. The question is, can they now transition this lead that they found themselves in the top lane into some pressure elsewhere on the map?
He's got the Ravenous Hydra, Ninja Tabbies, and the makings of a Phage against a Sheen, a Phage, and magical free boots for Kakan. Really not a great look for the Gangplank, and it's setting up Only Angel to be in a brilliant spot to take over the split pushing in the later stages. And it's really where he becomes that huge threat that he's really known to be. Not when he's on the own.
That was really nice for Yusa right there. Just finds an opportunity to grab himself a couple of free turret plates in the bottom lane. And most importantly, answering the turret plates that Diabolus were able to get earlier on in that bottom lane. The difference being, Dragdar wasn't solo on those turret plates. Yusa was. So in terms of where that gold is actually going, the advantage definitely goes to MNM, especially when they manage to grab all 5 on the top side.
Nulty, come on, leave him alone. He's so far back in this lane. Poor Kakan.
I don't think they'll actually be able to close. Oh, actually, Kakan going to face check this one. Unfortunate situation for them. Orange will mean that it is going to be K. And will walk away on into the base, but it just offers so much space for Only Angel to start to push up in this top lane. This might just be a tier 2 already. The minion wave not going to quite be big enough for him to finish this tower. Only Angel will take a chunk of damage from the likes of Kakan. PFI, though, moving down to the bottom side. They need to try and answer. In the meantime, Chips died somewhere.
Yep, somewhere. Fury's also on his way down as well, making this dive happen.
TP from Only Angel. Knock-up going down onto the Heathen. He's rooted as well. They can't quite finish the kill. An explosive cask will knock everybody away. In the meantime, Kakan has been... What? Nulty doesn't go for it. Surely, man. I thought he was going to try and finish that one off.
When he
the flash from Kakan!
Oh my God!
Oh, it's 1-for-1. The passive from Gangplank gets the kill. And now in the bottom lane, PFI goes in. Yusa gets the Blade Caller. Roos onto 2 and heals himself back up. Dragdar going to be the target as Only Angel goes in, but the flash keeps him alive. PFI has to back away.
Bit of a difference there on both sides of the map, as on the bottom side, nobody dies, but on the top side, everybody dies, as Nulty and Kakan trade their lives for one another. Chibs going to place a ward and finding the entire Diabolus team. Unfortunate scenario.
Not a whole lot that Chibs can do about that one. Obviously, keeps his summoners, because it would have just been a waste. Here we go, Only Angel now getting aggressed upon, but the stun onto the Heathen means he grabs a couple more tower shots, and the lifesteal is insane from Only Angel. Dragdar now will be knocked up. Only Angel goes in, Nulty grabs the kill, and what a collapse from MNM.
Rookie error there from Diabolus to think that Only Angel was ever going to be alone in this game. Instantly the teleport from Yusa, the collapse from Shogun and Nulty, punishing that potential aggression from Dragdar and the Heathen that has really been where PFI has been putting so much of this focus to build Dragdar up to be this carry. Getting over aggressive, chasing down under the towers where you don't have the vision control around the area. It's not really the way to do so.
And now PFI has to back away in this jungle. Nulty has found Fury in the mid lane. Doesn't quite have the burst to finish him off. But most importantly, it's about the pressure, right? Keep everyone over towards the mid side, because it means Yusa can hammer away at this turret.
Yeah, Fury has to go back to base from that and picking up the cleanse. He can't teleport back in to get involved in any little scraps.
Importantly, Infernal Drake is now spawning on the map in 5 seconds time. Nulty is in the perfect spot to make sure his team is the one on this objective. There's no vision here from Diabolus. Yusa and Shogun can happily rotate up. Great control from MNM.
There we go, just picking that one up nice and clean. Once again, there's 4 damage threats on this squad, so getting a lot of value out of that. Oh, the Angel, even with the Ignite, just, the little dash, the juke onto Dragdar.
And this is why I wanted to see Only Angel on a carry, man. This is what we get to see. The mechanics of this guy are exceptional. He can do so much work when you give him the tools.
Certainly has been putting in the work in the 1v1 as well. He's had a lot of help to do it, in fairness, as Nulty has spent a lot of time in that topside jungle, but now Only Angel's rotating, looking to punish other lanes. Fury
doesn't get stunned up, but I think might just go down anyway. Oh, Only Angel finishes him off before the shockwave even goes through. And now on towards that mid lane turret. Yusa will be the target. Void Seeker does land onto him from Dragdar. They can't really do enough damage to force this turret in the bottom lane. Once again, MNM in the earlier stages of this game are the ones with the advantage. 3,000 gold for them. The question is, can they close things out a little bit more cleanly this time? Can they turn this advantage into something more without throwing the game away?
It just feels a little bit like Diabolus is kind of just beating their head against a brick wall, trying to get this bot lane tower down, but it's just really not working out. Yusa and Shogun are able to hold by themselves now and allows Only Angel, Nolty to roam around and make plays across the other areas of the map. And PFI is still spending quite a lot of time expending his resources down into Dragdar. The results just aren't really showing as of quite yet, but Baron will be up in about a minute's time. Another Infernal Drake in 3 minutes. Maybe we'll see that big team fight really pop off from Diabolus around those objectives if they're in a position to actually contest them. They have the tools to do so with the Shockwave, the Cannon Barrage, and the Heathen, all the CC that he can bring as well.
I'll have to wait and see if that's going to come to pass for these two teams. The mid lane tier 1, though, is still available for Diabolus, and that's a big difference between this game and the other two games in the series. Diabolus have been able to match the early game a little bit more effectively in this one, and it means that they have much more control of the map. They're able to contest these objectives a little bit more effectively. The fact that they have a dragon at all says a lot about how different this game is to the first two of the series.
Again, it's just Yusa in the bottom lane. Look, there's so many wards everywhere. As soon as there's a slight hint that there's a rotation towards the bottom lane, he backs away, which is great to see because, I mean, we said in the game number 1, he did get caught out slightly overextending. He's far from the only one on MNM who has been caught in those little scenarios, but it's good to see small adaptations playing a little bit more safely. Chibs.
Nice. Good wave play coming out from Fury. Takes out the caster minions.
And again, he's fallen victim to that same play, though, of the Heathen hovering on the side, getting hit with the Shockwave and almost getting taken down, but not quite. And then the second time he goes to place a ward and gets taken down for it. This time they're playing safer, they're playing further back, they're playing more defensively. So these small adaptations that are just taking away opportunities from Diabolus is just what gives MNM the control that they've got across the map. That's why Yusa feels so confident to walk this far up in the 1 versus 1 against Dragdar, because he knows if anyone starts roaming down, he's going to know about it far in advance, and he has plenty of time to back away.
MNM now starting to collapse on this middle lane, but Kakan has rotated down from the top side here.
Oh,
they actually are going to look for a fight. Chip's going to be knocked up to start things off. Shockwave doesn't get anyone from MNM, though, and this is a massive turnaround. Chips gets 1 kill to start things off. Only Angel has arrived and will get some resets to start things off. 2 for MNM.
Back-to-back misses on the Shockwaves for Fury. Not the best look on the Orianna so far, and that's really not the team fight ultimate that we were looking for. They had the potential to try and get the pick on Chibs, but he didn't even burn his heal. His ultimate still has those up and available. Now it's just going to be turned onto the DPS, onto the Baron.
Look at the healing on Chibs. Look at the lifesteal that he does have from that revolver.
Quite
already
nice.
back up to half HP once again. Kakan coming in. They're trying to contest this one. They want to. I don't know if they're going to be able to right here. Kakan just get a kill onto Shogun. Only Angel's very low here. They're going to burst the Baron. It's taken by PFI. It's a huge turn for Diabolus. But how many do they lose? Kakan trying to keep this fight alive for his team. Only Angel misses the stun and will be finished off. Dragdar taking these kills away as Nolty has to flash himself to safety. It's 3 kills for Diabolus and a Baron steal.
MNM, this is not controlled League of Legends. You don't want to go for the 50-50s. Even if you have the Elise, you have the execute damage. PFI slides in there, steals away the Baron buff, and once again buys some time for Diabolus to scale up. It's 3 versus 5, but the health bars were so low for MNM. Kakan gets around the side, finishes off Shogun, and PFI with the body slam in. 3 members of MNM still DPSing onto the Baron. It's just an easy smite for PFI, and then the cleanup on the fight as the Diabolus members respawn. Dragdar picks up a couple on this one as well. It's a much better look now for Diabolus compared to where they were just 30 seconds ago. It's all based off a A kind of blasé neutral objective, the Baron call from MNM. We've credited them for their great neutral objectives control across the map so far in this series, but that one slip up might just cost them.
Really unfortunate situation for MNM there. Everything was looking fantastic for them. They had complete control of the game. They win a fight in the mid lane and then just try and force this objective, but you can't brute force in this kind of situation when your advantage is not that significant. And really nicely done by Diabolus to punish them for it. Now only Angel looking towards this bottom side. Nolty's here to support him. They should be able to take a tier 2 in the bottom lane as their reward.
Yeah, Nolty's just sort of said, screw all this team fighting nonsense. I'm just going back to bullying Kakan with my Aurelia in the side lanes. And I mean, Diabolus, they don't have an answer for it as of yet. They've had to send 2 members back. They've taken away a tower in the top side, but they've lost their inner bottom turret as well, and they've got pressure in mid on the side of MNM too. So it is working, and it's a way to counter out the member of the Diabolus squad that doesn't have a Baron buff, but Chibs might get caught for it.
Nice flash from Chibs. PFI misses his whole combo there. That cost PFI his flash as well. Very important flash that's going to be down from the side of Diabolus.
It does leave Chibs a little bit more susceptible now. Heathen has been making a lot of attempts with the Hex flash to get over the wall, catch him off guard.
It's all on the Heathen now to try and catch Chibs out with the Cassiopeia flash unavailable. This could be the opportunity for Diabolus to continue to find situations that will benefit.
Potentially Fury again to catch a shockwave onto the backline is another one that we have to be looking out for. They haven't been on point in the previous 2 engagements, but they have had some impact when he's able to land them onto the correct targets. So be looking out for that now.
Well, Diabolus now grouping up in this middle lane, trying to look for some pressure onto the tier 2 tower. Naughty going to be here. But actually, PFI searching for an engage himself, getting on towards Naughty. The repel will block the knock-up there. Diabolus can't really collapse in the way that they want to. Only Angel very lonely, though, as they rotate towards the bottom side of this map.
Diabolus is just desperately trying to flex this Baron buff and actually get something from it. Other than just denying it from MNM, but...
Oh, Only Angel's actually decided to stay here in the bottom lane, maybe looking for a play. Fury will get some support from the likes of Dragdar. Shockwave goes down. Only Angel misses his stun. Ultimate does go down, but it's not going to be enough. Or is it? Knockup going to be there. GA pop now for Only Angel. Teleport channeled, but this is too much. Bitten off by MNM onto the likes of the Rakan. Nolty and Chibs trying to escape. Huge amount of damage down onto the Spider. There's a knockup onto Chibs. He'll be finished off. Naughty caught up as well as Dragdar will be able to finish the job on that one, and Diabolus punish MNM.
And again, they're just making these plays out of seemingly nothing. What looks like Only Angel is trying to go for the bait play to try and get a pick onto Fury. It's turned around. It's 3 kills, 4 kills picked up for Diabolus, and now that their Baron buff is gone, it does open up a bit more time to push down on some turrets. They finally get that bot tower that they expended so much time on, and Yusa's in trouble too.
Yusa having to step forward. The barrel roll won't be enough to take the kill onto him there, but in the meantime, this bottom lane tier 2 will be finished off from Diabolus. They're finally starting to make a mark on this map. They're closing the gap in terms of the gold. In fact, they have a lead in terms of the gold. They're even on towers. Both teams have an Infernal Drake. The next one going to be an Ocean. But it's 45 seconds till Baron's back up, and we've got a catch in the bottom lane. Only Angel once again being caught out. And another kill goes to Dragdar.
And even though at the start of every single one of these games it seems so MNM favored, it's just the decisiveness and the plays of Diabolus. They see a member on the side. They have moments where they're pushing mid and they try and force an engage. That seems to be what they're looking for, more so than just shoving down in the lanes. If they spot a member on the side, Nolty, Shogun, chasing into their jungle and then collapsing on Only Angel in the bottom lane, it's what they're looking for. And again, it's in the mid lane. They're looking for a collapse.
And man, what happened to game 1, MNM? What happened to the clean, controlled gameplay? Not taking risks, not taking fights that you don't have a guarantee on. because game 2, it felt similar, and then they had one really bad fight that kind of threw the game, and the rest was a snowball from Diabolus. This one, we've had multiple situations now where MNM just try and force a situation where they don't have any advantage.
I'm not sure if it's just nerves or just, again, overconfidence is a theme that we've seen quite frequently with this roster. Definitely considering themselves to be that top 3 team in the UKLC. Maybe not quite respecting the level of their opponents, and as you've said, everyone has just increased in their communication, in their coordination across the duration of Forge of Champions, and they might not quite seem to have recognized that to the same level.
Well, despite the gold lead in favor of Diabolus, it's MNM that have control of the Baron Pit for now. They're starving vision away from the blue side.
Oh, Heathen, what is this?
Heathen flashes forwards with that Hex Flash there. Yusa and Shogun will be able to pull themselves to safety. PFI wants a way in. He has used that Predator, but won't be able to find a kill for himself. It does mean that Diabolus are going to be able to wrestle a bit of this vision control back their way. PFI actually going to be taking a lot of damage. Baron going to be procced as well. That's a big deal, but Nolty also takes a huge chunk, so both junglers removed from the fight.
From downtown, a Void Seeker from Dragdar, just giving Nolty that last little push that he needed to get below the threshold of, I think I need to actually go back to base here. PFI, he sat outside of the Baron Pit, so he's not taking the damage. He's got some sustain, but Dragdar's going for the fight.
Oh, Chips
Shockwave
does
again.
manage to dodge the Shockwave. Triple knockup coming out from the likes of Shogun. In they go. Only Angel dropped, though, and that's a massive cannon barrage coming out from Kakan. Forces the flashes away from Nolty. PFI so low in that one. They can't quite finish the job. In fact, it's the Heathen that was low.
They tried to go for the ball delivery play by dropping it on top of Dragdar and having him dive into the middle of the enemy team, but it just went off a millisecond too early and didn't land onto anyone, but still Diabolus comes up ahead. If Fury, at the end of that fight, he had his ball just hovering in the jungle entrance, and just the threat of that being there was enough to dissuade MNM from actually coming through that entrance. If the Shockwave was still up and available, just imagine the impact it could have had. And again, it's just not quite on point, but it's still enough.
And as soon as the Scuttle Crab goes down, immediately Diabolus start onto
But
this
there's a
Baron.
ward on the back. Only Angel can TP in.
Angel can TP, but they don't actually know it's happening. There we go. The ward's come in. It's going to be spotted, and Diabolus do back away. They respect the threat of MNM engaging on them. And back to this stalemate between these two teams. Neither of them confident enough to just pull the trigger and make something happen. Maybe I'm wrong, though. Does Diabolus try and force something in the mid lane now? Chip's going to be here to defend. Only Angel needs to make his way up to the rest of the team. Heathen misses the hook, goes in anyway. Charm onto 2. Big fight for MNM as they get one.
That's a
huge shockwave onto 3. There's no follow-up damage available. Explosive cast just to try and disengage.
It's a better Shockwave. It doesn't result in a teamfight win, but it's enough to ensure the remaining 4 members of Diabolus can get away from this sticky scenario, unless only Angel went for a flashy play. No ultimate available just yet, though. A few more seconds, but 24 seconds on the Heathen. He missed the hook into the bush, but it landed on the wall, so it put him in a bad situation nonetheless.
MNM go for this play once again. They've lost one Baron to the 50-50 already this game. Shogun goes in. Only Angel straight onto Dragdar. Doesn't land the stun, but he's onto Fury anyway. Flashing forward to try and finish the Orianna off. Might just be able to do it. One more blade surge, but Fury gets away. Shockwave keeps him alive. And there's no picks here for MNM.
Oh man, it feels like so far throughout this series we've said Diabolus looking for aggressive plays, and the MNM squad gets out on a sliver of health, just barely surviving. But now things have completely turned around. It's MNM who's trying to force these plays, and it's Diabolus who's just sneaking away, licking their wounds, but still alive and ready to fight back when they're needed to. And it's really put a damper on this acceleration that MNM has really become known for, is setting the tempo, setting the pace of the game. But PFI stuck up in the Baron Pit. Thankfully, the Baron didn't get aggroed, so it's just a chunk of health that he will be able to regenerate back. But
so far, the longer this game goes on, the more it feels like this is going to be down to a singular team fight deciding everything. Kakan taking huge amounts of damage there. If we get one big shockwave from Fury or one big petrifying gaze from Chibs, that could decide everything.
Nobody's committing to pushing the side waves in and getting priority before they go for this sort of NA Ram style, right? Everyone's just sitting in the mid lane throwing abilities at each other. The bottom lane is pushing in favor of Diabolus. The top lane in favor of MNM, but they're nowhere near the turrets. They're not threatening anything just yet. It's kind of just a stalemate on the bottom side and on the top lane that just allows both of these teams to have all 5 members grouped up in the middle, just ready to snap and go for those engages at a moment's notice.
Only Angel has now gone down to the bottom lane to answer that situation you're talking about. Does have his teleport available.
But now we're just going to see the exact opposite lane assignment of the exact same thing, though. As Only Angel is pushing in the bottom lane, Fury shoves in the top. And it's probably just going to be straight back to the mid lane to continue on.
Oh, hook lands onto Nolty. This could be massive for the side of Diabolus. Heathen committing to the fight. Dragged out Killer Instinct onto the backline, and he's going to be able to get away with it as well. That's 2 kills going the way of Diabolus. Shockwave is there as Only Angel desperately tries to find something, but he's 1 against 5, and he will be shut down. Double kill for PFI and onto the Baron.
And that's the teleport for Only Angel as he was on the bottom side of the map. Immediately gets shut down as soon as he comes out of that one, and finally now the Heathen lands the hook onto Nolty, and that will be all she wrote for him. Gets taken down at the start of that fight. 3 picks for the side of Diabolus means the Baron buff will be nice and free, and this time there is no dead members, so it will be on all 5 members of Diabolus. Expecting the 1-3-1 split push, or at least a 1-4, with Kakan going to be heading towards one of these side lanes and putting some pressure down, preferably towards the top side where there is still an inner turret remaining, and allowing the rest of the Diabolus squad to be that 4-man squad that still has a terrifying teamfight presence with the Shockwave, with the Gragas engage, and with the Cannon Barrage on top of it.
The question will be, can they find that situation? It's been so difficult for both of these teams to grab the fight that they're exactly looking for, but so far in terms of team fighting, it has been going consistently the way of Diabolus in this game. They feel like the ones that are in charge right now, and MNM are struggling to find their way into these fights.
Again, Dragdar is having an incredible game, 7-1 for himself on the Kai'Sa. Has the Mercurial Scimitar, so the CC doesn't even mean that much to him. He's been really on point with the use of that as well. Kakan now knocks down the top turret, and everything left for MNM is within the walls of their base. And this is how we've been describing Diabolus for a large amount of this series, but now the shoe's on the other foot, and MNM is in defensive mode.
And it has to be said that we've been singing Nolty's praises all series long, but in this game, it's been all about PFI. He's the one that's been able... I don't know what you're doing.
It's fine.
But PFI has really been the one in charge of the jungle in this game. 4-1-7 on the Gragas, and the later this goes, the more it feels like he's able to have an impact, and Nolty just not being able to do the same thing.
Yeah, the man's Elise. The Lee Sin was definitely more impactful in the earlier stages, and yes, he did have a lot of pressure towards the top side, but Kakan has survived through it once again. He did it on Kayle, and he's done it on Gangplank as well, and now he's at a point where he's starting to become a threat in these team fights, in the split pushing against Only Angel. That top lane tower is not looking healthy, and neither is this bottom one. It's the 3 members of Diabolus with the Baron buff, looking to find an entrance into MNM's base.
And they will be able to just do that. This cannon will finally finish off that bottom lane inhibitor turret. And the siege continues. The Baron's still going to be underway here. And now onto the inhibitor in this bottom side of the map. 2 cannons ticking away. No real answer from the side of MNM when it comes to clearing those cannons away. In the meantime, you've got Kakan pushing away onto the top inhibitor, and Only Angel just cannot engage onto him right now. Chips takes a massive chunk of damage from Fury, and the siege is just unbreakable from the side of Diabolus. They are taking this base apart right now. Only Angel chunked out by Kakan, who's now moving onto the inhibitor. He might just look for a kill. Only Angel has to back away. That's Cannon Barrage and a flash from Only Angel just to survive. Nalty goes on in. Featherstorm won't find anyone from Yusa. Mid lane inhibitor taken. Top lane down to half. This is a masterclass now in map control from Diabolus. They've turned everything that MNM were doing in the first 2 games back onto them.
And Fury didn't even need to pull the trigger there, but PFI goes for it.
That's going to be Yusa going on down. Shogun has to escape with his life. Fury actually whips his ultimate, but it's not going to matter too much. Or is it actually? MNM maybe turning this one around. Only Angel goes on in. Triple kill comes out from Dragdar, though. And Nalty finds himself alone. This might just be the game, ladies and gentlemen. The minions are here. Dragdar has a lot of tower damage. What can Nalty do to keep his team in the game? The minions have gone, though. Nalty's been found. Dragdar finds an easy kill, and that is going to be game for sure now. Diabolus, after getting swept aside in the first game of the series, cling on in game 2, and in game 3, show us what they are made of and make it to our finals.
Oh man, this is uncharted territory for Diabolus to be facing off in the grand finals, taking down MNM, something that they tried so often to do in the regular season. They had so many semifinals matchups against MNM and every time fell short. So it's got to feel great for them to finally get that victory and be heading to the next series up against Fnatic.
Yeah, unbelievable stuff coming out from Diabolus. And what an evolution this team has gone through during this best of 3 series. The difference between game 1 and game 3 in Diabolus is absolutely massive, but also the difference for MNM. They just didn't seem to... They didn't even seem to be looking for the plays in game 3.
Yeah, it really just feels like a style disparity between these two teams. MNM wants to be playing that early game and accelerating the pace, but maybe what Diabolus has been focusing on in the boot camp is playing around the mid game and the late game decision making, things like that, because that was a lot of what brought them back into these series. It wasn't just, oh, I see a guy, I'm going to try and fight him. It was coordinated, it was calm, it was collected, and the team fights, even if there was some key ultimates, shockwaves, that missed in just about every single team fight, it was still decisively favored in terms of Diabolus victories. And that's just insane that you have such a huge tool that has no impact whatsoever and it doesn't affect the outcome of the fight. You still dominate in the team fights.
Yeah, and really some not great calls on the Barons coming out from MNM, especially in game number 3.
We have had a lot of those
50-50s. Like, they got punished. They got punished very heavily by Diabolus. Great job by Diabolus to recognize that those Barons just weren't safe. They could contest those ones, showing that they know exactly how. And PFI on point with the smites.
Yeah, and even in the 3 versus 5 as well, they felt confident enough to go for it. And that is exactly what we want to see from a championship level team who's going to be facing off against stiff competition in Fnatic Rising.
Yep. Fnatic Rising up against Diabolus will be coming next. That's going to be the end of our first series of the day, but we have a whole best of 3 to come. Do not go anywhere. We're going to jump into a quick break, but Fnatic Rising versus Diabolus will be on right after this.